I'm gonna show you how to make my special recipe. It's called LumberJack honey cone bread. First, set the oven to about 325. Here are the ingredients we'll be using in the recipe. First, we're gonna start with all the dry ingredients. Get all that mixed in the bowl, then we'll add the wet ingredients. I do not follow the recipe. I sort of follow the recipe for the sweet cornmeal muffins on the side of the box, but I have my own recipe. So first I start with the actual cornmeal. This is Albert's yellow cornmeal. The muffin recipe that I loosely follow on the side calls for 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour and a 1/2 cup of the cornmeal. Well, I don't want floury cornbread. I want coney cone bread, all right? So I'm gonna show you what I do. I switch it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 1 cup and 1/3 of the cornmeal and 2/3 of a cup of flour. So either way, you end up with 2 cups of like the base for the batter. Here's 1 cup and 1/3 of cornmeal. 2/3 cup of flour. The recipe calls for 2/3 cup of sugar. So I'm gonna put 1/2 cup of sugar. 1/2 cup of sugar. 1 tablespoon of baking powder. 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and I don't even measure this, I just grind some in. Don't put too much. That's plenty. The recipe calls for 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil, but I say hail to the no, no. Need some butter, baby. And I definitely recommend Challenge butter. I think it's the best. I don't use any of that margarine or country crock either. The butter is labeled in increments so you know where to cut it. I want 1/3 of a cup, so I'm gonna cut on that line right there. Now I'm gonna cut the butter into small pieces and put it in to the measuring cup. And I'm gonna warm it in the microwave. I'm not gonna boil it. Don't boil your butter. All right, now I put the butter into the microwave. I'm not gonna cook it. I'm not gonna boil it. I'm just gonna warm it up. Okay, there's like 10 seconds. Now I'm just gonna kind of mash it up. I'm gonna stick it back in there for probably like 5 more seconds. All right, that's good. See, I never completely, see it's still a little chunky. That'll melt the rest of the way on its own. And just stir it up. Okay, I forgot to turn the camera on, but I just added the butter and 1.25 cups of milk, and then it says to beat the eggs, so I just put the eggs in the bowl in the same place with the other liquid, and I just beat them right inside the bowl. Now I'm going to show you why I only put 1/2 cup of sugar when it calls for 3/4 cup of sugar, and that's because honey. I'm just gonna warm this up in the microwave. Take the metal cap off. All right, so now I'm just gonna add some honey. That's enough, just like 1.5 tablespoons, maybe 2 tablespoons. All right, so now all the ingredients are in there. I'm just gonna stir it up. All right, so now the batter's all stirred up. All right, this part is very important. I don't cook in a pan or I use an iron skillet. This is a 10-inch iron skillet. I say it's a must-have. You can make it in a different pan if you want to, but I highly recommend you cook it in an iron skillet. So now I take the butter that was left after I cut my 2/3 cup, and I'm just gonna coat the whole thing, the sides, the bottom, the corners. Put a nice layer of butter in there. Perfect, just like that. Now I take my honey and just a drizzle, little bits in here. that's it. I usually use golden honey, but I've got this raw honey. I kind of don't like the dark color of it, but whatever, it tastes good. All right, the oven's preheated at 325. This recipe calls for 350, but I like to cook it slower. I'm going 325. I'm gonna put this in the oven. All right, you can see that the cornbread's starting to form around the edges. Still very wet in the middle, so check on it again. So now it's been about 20 minutes and you can see the top starting to form up. All right, so now the top of the cornbread is forming up, it's taking shape. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it and stick it in the broiler. If you have a top burner in your oven, just turn it on for briefly, just to make it crispy. You gotta be careful, you will burn it. Back in the oven. See what I did? I just kind of gave it a little bit of crisp on top. I'm gonna take it out before it is done, and you can get a look at that. See what it looks like? Now I'm gonna just take this butter that I had from earlier, and I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna rub some on top. I'm gonna throw it back in the oven for probably about 3 to 5 more minutes and it'll be done. It's done. So there it is. Now let it cool off for a little while and make up a plate. And there you have it. LumberJack honeycomb bread. Delicious. So good. So the reason why I decided to share this recipe, my special recipe with you, is because it's summertime. Everybody's gonna be barbecuing. Cornbread is delicious. It goes great with barbecue. It goes great with baked beans, and it's just perfect. It's yummy, sweet, delicious, and I think everybody's gonna like it. So try out the recipe yourself and enjoy.